From various locations via the miracle of Skype, it's the 40th anniversary season of the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
And what a wild one we had at Daytona last night. The racing for NASCAR is just getting started. We're going to be racing the Truck Series, NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series today in the Laguna 175 at Milwaukee. Nice of you to join us, Todd Bailing in beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And speaking of which, my two partners out of the three that we have are at the Milwaukee Mile. Brian and Dan are both in the infield. They're in the media center, and you're where the press conference takes place, right?
Yeah, here's where the winner will be when the races are all over, and we're kind of taking it over for an hour here while it's not being used, and we're happy to be here, man. The NASCAR's back at Milwaukee, and so far so good, right, Brian?
Yeah, first of 2 weekends in a row here at Milwaukee Mile. We'll be here next weekend. I mean, think 5 years ago we were standing with this place and this facility. Did you ever think we were going to have two major events here on back-to-back weeks? I mean, very unlikely, right?
Right. I didn't think it was ever going to happen. I'm glad that it did, and I hope we can keep them that way and going forward and that. So if you're not doing nothing today, come on out and check this out because pretty good truck race going on with 36 trucks, a full field of trucks, and 24 ARCA cars right before it.
Yep, the Sprecher 150 will go green at noon, and then the Laguna 175 will go green right around 3 o'clock. So two really good races. Ty Majeski is on the pole for the truck race here. Yeah. And we have William Swalich on the pole for the ARCA race with the Connor Zilich, the itches, on the front row, and that should be a pretty good race as well.
All right. By the way, our other partner, PJ Noodleman, helping her mom move after her stepdad passed away a couple of weeks ago. She's listening, keeping us on the up and up, but we miss her. She'll be back next week, hopefully, and we'll go from there. Last night, I guess this is what NASCAR wants on NBC. All these wrecks are just exactly what they want, because if you get rid of enough good cars, there's a chance that Parker Retzlaff will push Harrison Burton to a win at Daytona. Nobody talked about the fantastic race that Parker Retzlaff had, and I'll tell you right now, Burton never would have won that race if it wasn't for Parker Retzlaff in the 62 car, who pushed him right past a very, very hungry Kyle Busch to win his first ever. Alex, I'll take former Wood Brothers drivers who won one race in their entire career at Daytona and then were never heard from again in NASCAR racing for 200. Who are Trevor Bayne and Harrison Burton. Ding, ding, ding. There you have it.
Maybe we shouldn't sleep on Parker Retzlaff either. I mean, he's been around enough, and I think he's kind of proved he belongs around and can do this. You know, everybody kind of wondered how he'd do, but he's done pretty good in every start he's had in the Xfinity Series, done well, and that was first Cup start. That was great. He's going to catch some flack from the Childress guys because that technically is the Childress car, and he didn't push the 8 car. He pushed the 21 to the win. But good for Parker, man. Do what you got to do.
I mean, in Daytona seems to be his coming out party. 2 years ago? He had his coming out party in the Xfinity Series 3 years ago. Yeah, I mean, he was rock solid there. So he's showing that he can be a pretty good super speedway racer, and that's half the battle is knowing where to put yourself in the right spot in those positions, and he was right there. Kind of unfortunate how he got shoved right at the end there, because he was going to probably have a third place finish, and then he kind of got hip checked up into the wall coming across the line, and I think he ended up 8th. But yeah, what a run for him.
If you ever wanted to know what Clark Kent would look like if he put on a driver's suit, that's Parker Retzlaff. He does not look or talk or act like a race car driver with as much talent as he is showing that he has. First of all, shame on Harrison Burton for not saying, I never would be standing here if it wasn't for Parker Retzlaff. Shame on the talking heads at NBC for not saying, look at the push that he got from Parker Retzlaff. Nothing. at least Bob Pockrass was cool enough to go down and interview Retzlaff and get his take on it. And of course, as you might imagine, and as Dan mentioned, he was apologetic because he's in a Chevrolet and he pushed a Ford to the win. Listen, on a green-white checker at Daytona, aren't all bets off? Aren't we worried about just whatever we have to do to win the race?
Well, I mean, if you're Parker, you're when you're lining up and doing the choose, you're thinking, who has a better chance of like screwing up that I can get by, Harrison Burton or Kyle Busch? Well, I'm taking Harrison Burton, screwing up before Kyle Busch. So that's what he went with. I mean, he's looking to win the race, not, maybe there was some Childress stuff there, but obviously they didn't like hammer that home. The spotter didn't, because otherwise he probably would have. But I think it was more about, hey, try to find a way to win this race for that Beard Motorsports team. That would have been huge for them.
It really would have. And, it was pretty huge for the Wood brothers, too. Make no mistake, the 100th career win for that storied team. Boy, we've been on 199, it seems like, for a few years now, right? What did we figure out? Like 17, maybe?
Yeah, the last win for the Wood brothers team, I think it was Ryan Blaney. That was like 2016, 2017, probably 2017.
Pocono, yeah.
Pocono, yeah. Gee, well, they waited around for it long enough, and now... and what it's done, of course, it's thrown another wrench into the playoffs. A driver who would not have made the playoffs under any circumstances except one, winning, and he won the race. Now that pushes, there are only 3 cars that are left that are going to come in on points. Martin Truex is in. He's a 58 point to the good. Then Ty Gibbs, 39 point. He can finish last and have enough points to still make it. The 16th and final spot, Chris Buescher, is plus 21 over Bubba Wallace. And Ross Chastain has still got a shot, too. He's minus 27. So those 3 cars, as we go to Darlington next week, boy, that's a place where you don't really want to have to win to make the playoffs. But there's been some.
But you know what happened last night? You realize what happened last night? That car was 35th in points. He was the lowest car in points that run every race of the year. Think of the 2-14 Carolina Panthers winning their last game and knocking a team out of the playoffs and getting the final wild card spot. That's what happened last night.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I don't know if I really like how that scenario sets up. 2 weeks ago we talked about the you gotta win deal with Dylan and how that wouldn't have happened had you not had this scenario. And now here you got another one here where you're knocking. I mean, Ross Chastain, that car. I mean, he was in the Final Four 2 years ago, and now he's probably not going to be in. Now, granted, he hasn't been running real great this year and he hasn't won a race, but still, you're going to put a 35th place car. I mean, really, do we think Harrison's going to get out of the first round? I mean,
no, come on.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you wouldn't think so.
You would not. By the way, last week on the program, we just did our Michigan picks. We forgot completely that Daytona was going to be before the next one. I was going to take Harrison Burton.
Sure you were. Yeah.
No, I wasn't. Harrison Burton's dad wouldn't have taken him. Are you kidding me? Boy, speaking of which, he was a pretty excited guy up in the tower. Yeah, he had to keep his mouth shut about his kid. You notice he never mentions his own son because he knows he would probably be open to criticism from people. He's only saying nice things because it's his kid. He keeps his mouth shut. But boy, when that kid won the race last night, surprise!
It was kind of cool. They showed a video, like the camera must have been like behind them in the booth, and Jeff didn't say a whole lot, but you can see him pumping his arm, and you can see Lee Diffie like ducking his head to make sure he didn't get one to the melon because Jeff was so excited up there. But he kept his cool. You did not have a Ned Jarrett scenario.
Right. It wasn't like CBS said let Ned call it. NBC said we'll let Lee call it, and
I think he was pretty much filling up his diaper to be calling that race. He's like the rest of us. He couldn't believe what he was seeing, especially when the guy who lines up with him is Parker Retzlaff. Are you kidding me? And look what they did together. It was pretty damn impressive. We're real happy you joined us. We're Milwaukee Mile. My God, there's going to be 3 major league races in 8 days at the Milwaukee Mile. Imagine that. We'll talk about the other ones coming up right after these.
Get ready for the return of IndyCar NASCAR to the Milwaukee Mile.
The NTT IndyCar Series returns to Milwaukee August 30th through September 1st for the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s weekend.
Don't miss the first IndyCar event at the historic 1 Mile Oval since 2015, featuring an NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader with races on both Saturday and Sunday. Check out the free fan fun zone with live music, great food, and family fun all weekend long.
Get your tickets now at wistatefair.com and join us for a Labor Day weekend celebration at the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
The Sheboygan County Fair is this week in Plymouth, and again, sprint car racing is on the schedule. Saturday night, the bumper-to-bumper IRA sprints, along with the Akerite Auto Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA sprints. See these daredevils challenge the High Bank 3rd Mile Oval with wheel-to-wheel and wing-to-wing nonstop action. Enjoy the fair and be in the grandstand Saturday night. On-track action at 5 o'clock. We'll see you there.
If you're a fan of our Wisconsin sports teams, here's the perfect podcast for you. The Larrivee and LePage podcast with two Hall of Fame broadcasters. Wayne Larrivee, the voice of the Green Bay Packers, and Matt LePage, the voice of Wisconsin Badgers football and men's basketball. Together bringing you insights and guests talking Packers, Badgers, Brewers, Bucks, and more. Listen to the Larrivee and LePage podcast. Available anytime on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to podcasts. Presented by UW Credit Union. Here for every you.
Welcome back to the program, Milwaukee Mile. It's going to be the center of the racing universe in the state of Wisconsin here for the next week or so. As a matter of fact, not only do we have the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series here today and the ARCA Series racing at noon today, but next weekend on Saturday and Sunday we have two completely different IndyCar races. And Fishgrund from the IndyCar Series, who just, by the way, is the general manager at Iowa for that event, is joining us on the phone right now. And we're pretty excited around these parts, as you might imagine.
We're excited, too. It's been 9 years since the NTT IndyCar Series has been to the Milwaukee Mile, and we can't wait to get back.
So how are things looking here? We're a week away. We got a lot of people coming to the mile, and a lot of different things at the mile. I mean, just looking at the safety improvements and everything here, how is it looking? How are ticket sales going? What can people expect when they get here next week?
Really great. Things are amazing. The State Fair Park has been a great partner in this event, and the Milwaukee Mile, I don't think, has ever looked better. As you mentioned, that the Truck Series is there this weekend, which is an amazing thing for our friends over at NASCAR, but we're excited that they're warming up that track surface for us this year for us to hit some, hopefully, record-breaking speeds. Safety, to your point, has improved. A few enhancements to the track surface and safety barriers has been implemented. Ticket sales are going well, but we can always welcome more customers and fans to join us next weekend on Labor Day.
Yes, and then you have the fan zone going on as well, so fans can come on out and check things out, and you can kind of get them, if they don't have a ticket, they can still show up here and get excited about it and then buy a ticket, correct?
Absolutely. So the free fan zone is free. So think about the Harvest Fair footprint, all the great restaurants and bars, live music. It's all free throughout the weekend. Gate hours are posted on our website, but the weekend is free from the fan perspective of like the interaction with the restaurants and bands. Quiet Riot is joining us Saturday night at 7 p.m., all for free. But if you want to get into the grandstands Friday, Saturday, or Sunday to watch practice, qualifying, those two races, grandstand tickets can be purchased either on site or before you show up.
And we're looking at an evening race on Saturday. The green flag is 5 o'clock, correct? And then Sunday at 1:30?
Yep, exactly. So it'll be a great afternoon on Sunday, but even a better evening on Saturday night.
And you have a lot of experience with doubleheaders, doing the doubleheaders at the Iowa Speedway there. What kind of goes into, not only having just one race, but two races?
From a driver perspective and a team perspective, it's a lot of physical and mental preparation getting into the weekend. Saturday night is just as equally important as Sunday. So teams and drivers are going all out. Right now, we're hitting the end of the NTT IndyCar Series season, and so points are everything to make it into that championship race. So these will be the final 2 races before they go into the championship race in Nashville the following weekend, or 2 weekends. And it's going to be very important that they stay focused, that they don't crash, right? Crash parts means more time and more focus for your crew members overnight. But both races are equally as important because every team is going after points for that championship.
We're talking with Ann Fishgrund of IndyCar. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun weekend, and boy, it's the first IndyCar race I will be attending in some time. It'll be fun, and Ann, we're looking forward to having you and the rest of the IndyCar series here at Milwaukee next weekend.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it too. Fingers crossed for amazing weather, and we hope to see everyone there.
All right, thanks a lot, and weather's looking real good as of right now too. So that can change, but right now it's looking beautiful. So, all right, Ann, thanks a lot for being on. And we're as we said, the boys are at the Milwaukee Mile. We're getting ready for this one. Ty Majeski, of all, he was fast the second he got out onto the racetrack for the first time. He set fast time in practice and never once relinquished that fast time, and came back out and showed it was all there were no mistakes there. He set fast time for and won the pole for today's.
And it's interesting how this weekend goes here with the Truck Series. Talking to some of the crews, I asked them, you only had 20 minutes of practice. Is that a plus or a minus? And talking to one of the car chiefs yesterday, he goes, for us as the crew guys, we kind of like it. You got to have your stuff together when you get here and when you unload, and you have, you can make some minor tweaks. But unlike last year when they had the full hour where they could come in and you can change shocks and springs and all that stuff, can't do that here. You had to, literally the garage area here, they rolled these trucks out, went through inspection, and they went right out on pit road.
And it was a crazy practice to watch because all the trucks were on and they only had 20 minutes to get things done. So all 37 were here. One truck actually went home.
Yep.
So if you're going to watch practice, it was kind of gung-ho right from the start because they had everything done.
Grooves. I mean, you and I were standing in turn 4. They're 3 wide sometimes coming through there. So anybody that thinks you can't pass and that the flat track, the old things we always dealt with years ago here, that's not the case with these guys. These guys were working the groove in. They were above the patch. If you're familiar with Milwaukee, they got the patch on the end. They're above that, running up there. So there should be all sorts of grooves to race on. And Ty alluded to it yesterday in the post-race or post-qualifying press conference, how there's multiple grooves here. You're going to be able to put your truck wherever you want. And, the guys that unload are good are the guys that are going to be fast.
You got that right. Hey, not only did Harrison Burton win yesterday at Daytona, but we had another race during the week on Monday afternoon. Tyler Reddick wins yet again at Michigan on that rain-delayed event. They got 52 laps in on Sunday and finished it up on Monday morning starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. Geez, unbelievable set of circumstances. But Reddick, boy, that turns out to be quite the thing, how Denny Hamlin stole Tyler Reddick from Richard Childress, isn't it? At the time, you just wondered how good Ty Reddick could actually be. He's on the verge of winning the regular season championship, if that's a thing. But it's amazing. The guy is just a super fantastic race car driver, and I think he certainly brings the class to that 2311 organization over there. And you got a winner, and he's the guy.
He's one of those that we've seen from the start.
Right, and that's what I said. You think you see a guy that actually's got it. You got to get a hold of him. That's what Denny Hamlin did. And you think about it, at Chevy, at Childress, yeah, he kind of knew he was all right, but he drove for Junior Motorsports before. Remember, he won the championship, and they kind of twice he won the championship, and they didn't put him in the ads and stuff. Maybe kind of put him on the side, like
no
didn't realize
respect.
what they had.
Yeah.
And he gets out of the car and he
wins that race and pays homage to Scott Bloomquist because, remember, that's where he got his start. He drove Bloomquist cars when he was 13 years old.
Remember the long-haired kid trying to sell you a T-shirt?
Yep, the long-haired kid trying to sell me a T-shirt at Farmer City, and I'm thinking, this kid's driving? So he's one that we've literally seen from the very beginning, and it's kind of cool to see a guy like that have success.
Also, because there have been 2 races since the program, we have an actual issue on our hands. It's about cars flipping, and we're going to talk about that when we come back. Hang in there.
The NASCAR playoffs begin Sunday, August 25th at the historic Milwaukee Mile. Tickets are on sale now for the Laguna 175 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. Witness Wisconsin's own Ty Majeski and defending Milwaukee race winner Grant Enfinger race for it all. The Sunday, August 25th NASCAR doubleheader kicks off with a Sprecher 150 ARCA Menard Series at high noon. Tickets start at $40. Kids 12 and under are free. It's NASCAR playoffs time in Milwaukee. Visit MilwaukeeMileRacing.com to get your tickets today.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358. The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Love it. Embrace it. Right now. The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
Better quarterback name, Bo Nix Jackson Dart.
Isn't there General Booty?
General Booty.
Generally
Booty.
Yeah.
General Axel Booty. He played at Oklahoma a few years ago. And UL Monroe.
Yeah. How's his booty? It's General.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
The big day at the Milwaukee Mile will be televised on FS1 today. The ARCA race, the Sprecher 150, gets underway at 12 noon. And then the Laguna 175. By the way, in case you're wondering, that's Laborers International Union of North America are sponsoring the race. And I believe they're based in DeForest, Wisconsin, too, right off the freeway up there. It will be televised on FS1. The green flag for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event today is at 3:18 this afternoon. This has been a pretty wild week as far as NASCAR trying to scramble and figure out. We thought we had these cars so where they wouldn't flip upside down quite so easily. It started with Corey LaJoie at Michigan, where he just, I don't know, stepped out of line at the wrong time and the wind caught his car now it's a fast track. We understand the Michigan is very fast. It's a 2-mile track. But flipped his car upside down and got, I kind of liked what Steve Letarte said immediately when that happened. This is unacceptable. We worked too hard to get these things to stay on the ground. So they add another, wing, I guess, on the right side of the roof. And that was, again, unacceptable. It scared the living daylights out of us when Josh Berry got. Now, you understand how he got pushed over. That'll happen, I guess, especially at that speed, no matter what you do to these cars. But on his roof, he hits the wall where, you weren't sitting in your seat. You were suspended upside down when you hit the roof. How the hell do you plan for something like that, gentlemen? It's a little difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't. And that car going in, especially the dead stop kind of hit upside down. I mean,
yeah.
You figure you're on your roof slide and you have no idea where you're going. And if you're right side up, you can maybe see it and kind of brace it a little bit. I mean, that had to be a big surprise that way, and that was kind of scary to see that. As far as the cars getting upside down, does it have something to do with the underside of the cars being flat? I mean, it seems like maybe that might be it. I don't know much about aerodynamics, but before the cars flip and we put the roof flaps on it, was because it turns into like a airplane wing.
Yeah, and I really thought they had, you saw that first wreck was that Todd Gilliland that got up sideways there, and he's going sideways, and he looks like
34 McDowell.
McDowell, yeah, and you thought, all right, he's going to go flipping over top of these cars. And that thing sat right back down and hit the wall, and that's what those flaps or those guards they put on the side of the car kind of stopped it from doing that. But there you're kind of going into a corner here on the back straightaway. I don't know what you can do to stop what happened to Josh Berry. I mean, I really don't know. I don't even know if it's possible to keep that from happening, because when you're going sideways and then you start lifting like that, unless you have all sorts of air diffusers, which they got a lot of them already to try to relieve the pressure on the car, I don't know that you can completely prevent that. It's just
at
the law
that
of
speed,
physics.
Brian, you know what? At that speed, it's kind of like you can do as much as you can. You can plan, you can go to the wind tunnel, but there comes a point where at that speed and with that many cars around disrupting the air, sometimes stuff happens.
Yeah.
Do we still have roof flaps on the cars?
Oh, yeah.
And
And then when that roof flap opens, it releases something on the bottom to relieve the pressure as well. They went through the whole. Steve Letarte did an outstanding job of explaining it after McDowell's wreck last night, and I kind of understood what they were doing, and then it happens again. But, I mean, just quit wrecking on the backstretch, because that seems to be where all the stuff happens there at Daytona. I mean, how many times? Was that 2 years ago in that Xfinity race, that car got up in the fence and almost wiped out Denny Hamlin's motorhome where Jordan was sitting? I mean, it just happens all the time. So, I mean, for them to say they should never be off the ground, I don't even know if that's possible.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and yet you can only do so much, and then the next thing is, well, then we better lower the speed, which they already did. If you'll remember, we basically have a 200 mile per hour speed limit. I will say though that the fact that these cars are as safe as they are designed for impact, not so much with a driver hanging upside down, but what a wonderful sight that was when Josh Berry is smiling and laughing and giving a thumbs up. Oh my God, the pressure!
It took so long to get that car over and get him out. I was kind of worried that that's usually what you see right away. The net go down and are they rushing around and that, and they were kind of taking their time, and it was kind of, he wasn't getting out, and they finally put it over right way. And then he gave up and he gave the big thumbs up, like, "Whoa, that guy is okay." I expected him to be crawling out kind of gingerly.
Yeah, and they showed that one of the safety workers shoved himself in there right away when the car was upside down. So he established contact with him. "Are you okay?" "Yes, I'm okay." "Should we flip this car over before you come out?" And then the answer was yes. So that's what they did it. And then you can't do it like you do at your short track where you just flip the thing over and let it slam on the ground. So they have that like a cantilever system that they have on that tow truck, which those guys did a pretty good job of that. They kind of just saddle it and flip it around and put it down. So once they know he's all right, then the urgency isn't there. Unlike Ryan Newman's that time, he was unconscious. So then you really had to get going right away on that one.
Unbelievable. By the way, this was the first race for the new announcing team that NBC has rolled out. Lee Diffie, who's been doing racing for a long time, when you hear his voice, you certainly think of something overseas because he's got that British accent. He cannot pronounce the letter R. It was Hess and Button that won the race. You're going to have to get used to that, I guess. Drove me a little crazy. Then he called it the Coke Zero Sugar 400, which also drives me nuts. It's the Coke Zero Sugar 400. Why are you missing? What exactly did Rick Allen do to piss everybody off and lose his job?
Well, see, if you remember now, Rick Allen is taking the Xfinity deal with the CW. So starting, I believe the playoffs is when that Xfinity series is moving over to CW. So
he's
Rick
out.
is going to be with that group all the time going forward. So obviously they had to find a spot to fill this in, and the CW must be giving Rick. Yeah, the network. Right. So they're giving him a healthy check to go over there and do the Xfinity stuff. So because NBC was okay with it because of their football and all the other stuff they have on Saturday nights going forward, that's why the CW is starting already this year. It wasn't supposed to start until Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, I'm as far as Lee Diffie, I'm used to him because I watch IndyCar and I watch sports cars too. So I mean, I've seen him announce a lot of things now, and I thought he is good. Prepares really well for it.
Yes, and he's the same person you see on TV in person. I mean, we've seen him at Road America after every IndyCar and IMSA race. He walks out of the booth and he talks to everybody. So he's a pretty genuine person, and he did a great job at the Olympics as well. So he's got a lot of experience.
Yeah. And let's face it, he does know what he's talking about, and he was a good announcer. I guess I kind of liked Rick Allen, but, if you're changing networks, I guess that answers my question. Where did he go? He went to a different network, and that's what's going to happen. We're very glad you tuned in. Dan and Brian are both in the media center at the Milwaukee Mile, where we're getting ready for a big day of racing. If you're on your way to the track right now, good for you. the ARCA Sprecher 150 and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Liuna 175 get underway at 12 noon. We'll be back right after these.
Get ready for the return of IndyCar to the Milwaukee Mile.
The NTT IndyCar Series returns to Milwaukee August 30th through September 1st for the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s weekend.
Don't miss the first IndyCar event at the historic 1 Mile Oval since 2015, featuring an NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader with races on both Saturday and Sunday. Check out the free fan fun zone with live music, great food, and family fun all weekend long.
Get your tickets now at WIStatefair.com and join us for a Labor Day weekend celebration at the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
The Sheboygan County Fair is this week in Plymouth, and again, sprint car racing is on the schedule. Saturday night, the bumper-to-bumper IRA sprints, along with the Akerite Auto Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA sprints. See these daredevils challenge the high bank 3rd Mile Oval with wheel-to-wheel and wing-to-wing nonstop action. Enjoy the fair and be in the grandstand Saturday night. On-track action at 5 o'clock. We'll see you there.
This is The Herd.
Wow, 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 wow.
With Colin Cowherd.
The last time Aaron was truly great was 3 years ago. Here's what was happening in the NFL just 3 years ago. Trey Lance and Jimmy G were the Niners quarterbacks. The Lions were 3-13-1. Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler, and the Titans were the #1 seed in the AFC. They're now lost as a franchise.
This is The Herd.
Weekdays 3 to 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeart Radio app.
Well, if it wasn't for courthouses, we'd have nothing to figure out right now. There's been a few things that have happened this week. The first one that was to the surprise of no one is that Richard Childress Racing lost its appeal after the wild finish at Richmond. But there is one more final step on the. Who knew that there was a NASCAR Supreme Court?
I like to call it the El Show appeal.
Yeah, the final step, right? That's what you say at closing time. Well, let's do a final. There is one more step in the process. Did we even know about this one, guys?
Yeah. I didn't.
I remember, I think they put it in place after that Hoodlover thing. They had a final appeal there or something. I think that's how it went. But there was one, and I can't see in this case, I can't see them overturning that. I think that they made their decision, and it's going to take a lot to get this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention, then you're throwing somebody else out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I don't think so.
I
thought it would be 50-50 because I thought, with all the shenanigans they love and the wrecks and that draws views and all that kind of stuff, they would maybe, consider giving it. But when they didn't, I'm like, nah, it's over. And you hear Chocolate Myers just
he's
politicking left and right for it,
Yeah, no kidding. There was another major penalty that came down, though. It turns out the folks from TURD, that's TRD, Toyota Racing Development, rebuilt the engine out of the 11 car, and they weren't supposed to, I guess, which you guys are going to be able to explain here. It cost Joe Gibbs Racing and the 11 car 75 driver points and owner points and 10 playoff points, and it cost the crew chief Chris Gabehart $100,000. They rebuilt an engine, and they weren't supposed to. Brian, how's that work?
These engines are sealed, so you can run them more than one race. If you win a race, they won Bristol. They wanted to run that engine somewhere else. They didn't inspect it after Bristol. You can run it another race. After that second race you run it, you're supposed to tell them you ran it, so they can take it and inspect it, and they didn't do it this time. So they took it back to the shop and rebuilt it without it getting inspected. So basically the penalty took the playoff point wins away from that Bristol win. It didn't knock them out of the playoffs because they had two other ones to fall back on. But it's a major deal. They don't want you doing that. And that's really not on the team's fault. That's on Toyota's fault. They self-reported it. They let them know, hey, this is what happened. We did this. go from there.
And that's a situation where NASCAR would have eventually found out, correct?
Yeah, you might as well admit to it if they're going to find out anyway, right? It makes you look better, I guess. The 100,000, yeah, that's cost of doing business. It's those 10 playoff points. That was the real kicker, don't you think, Brian?
Yeah, that's a big whack.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that basically took them out of the running for the regular season championship. And kind of, it's going to be between pretty much Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, and Christopher Bell are going to be the top three to go for that.
And they're going to have to sell a couple of Toyotas. I think that TRD is going to pay Gabe Hart's $100,000. It would seem to me, anyway. That would be the best thing they could do. Other couple things going on. It's a kind of a big deal that we find out for sure now that Trackhouse has announced that SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, is going to drive full-time in the Cup Series next year. We've heard it was coming, but there were no details. We know a couple things. Apparently, they got a charter. They didn't say where it came from, but of course, I don't know that there's a lot of sources other than Stuart Haas, so it's going to be another one of those charters. We don't know what they're paying for it yet. We do know that it's going to be number 88, and before they announced it, the folks from Trackhouse called Jeff Gordon, who runs Hendrick Motorsports, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. to get their blessing to use the number. And thank goodness they both said yes. And that number, that was in the bank of saved numbers over at Hendrick Motorsports, but it's now going to be on SVG's car. It's going to be exciting. He's going to win his races, and it's fun to watch his progression. But if he's going to win races, it's pretty obvious it's going to be on road courses, right, guys?
Right, and then the flip side of that is he had Zane Smith, who was over there. They had 4 drivers, only 3 cars. He's free to go find something on his own now. After signing a long-term deal with Trackhouse, now he's suddenly out. He's in that 71 car now. He'll be out of that next year. I think he's probably going to head to front row. I think he's a leading candidate for that 36 or whatever number that's going to be car coming forward, which is another Stuart Haas charter that they got from.
So they don't have it yet, though, do they?
Or yeah, they have it. Yeah, front row announced they had it already. They just haven't announced their driver for that car yet.
So it'll probably be Zane Smith.
And Zane came from there. He ran that 38 truck. That was their truck.
Yeah.
So he came from there. He's got some history there.
He's the one that skipped the step.
Right.
Yeah, he never ran an Xfinity Series, really.
And did he really have to? Probably not. By the way, that leaves one more charter out there, and the rumor is it's going to go to 2311, and they're going to hire Riley Herbst for one reason or another to drive a third
Monster Energy deal there is kind of behind that. The crew chief for Shane Van Gisbergen is the guy that's the crew chief for the 71 car now, Zane Smith's crew chief. He's only like 38, so it should be interesting how that works.
Yeah, interesting stuff, isn't it? It's just all happening at the same time, and it's pretty neat. I love watching Van Gisbergen. You know the kind of talent he has, but he's never used it on ovals before, and it's quite the learning curve. Suddenly, he showed up in the top 10 there the other night. In fact, didn't he show up last night? He showed up in the top 10 in the Xfinity race, which, by the way, was won by Ryan Truex on Friday. But I think he showed up for a while in the top 10. Of course, a lot of guys showed up in the top, which just goes to show you if you have enough wrecks, everybody's going to show up in the top.
There was a Rick Ware car was leading that race for quite a while last night. Did you notice that?
Who finished fourth?
Yes, was it 15 or 51? 51, I think.
51 was leading for a while, but did 15 finish fourth?
I'd have to bring that back up.
Unbelievable. Yes, it was quite a deal all the way around. Hey, we remember the people from Hooters and the whole story with Hooters as they came into our sport and jumped on board with Alan Kowicki, who, by the way, tonight's the Alan Kowicki Memorial Race at Slinger Speedway. And we find out on this particular day, how about this, that their way out is getting sued by Hendrick for $1.7 million. They're going out with a bang for non-payment of a contracted sponsorship. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Well, we'll be on a car a couple of times. Let's not pay it. We'll make headlines one way or the other. I just don't get it. But Hooters, they're going to have to hire lawyers, which are going to cost them more than 1.7 just to fight this thing. Unbelievable, isn't it?
That's a lot of wings.
It's a lot of chicken wings right there. We're glad you're tuned in. The boys are in the infield at Milwaukee Mile, getting ready to race today. We've got some results from around the world of racing, which we'll get to right after these. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be right back.
The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
The NASCAR playoffs begin Sunday, August 25th at the historic Milwaukee Mile. Tickets are on sale now for the Lyon 175 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. Witness Wisconsin's own Ty Majeski and defending Milwaukee race winner Grant Enfinger race for it all. The Sunday, August 25th NASCAR doubleheader kicks off with a Sprecher 150 ARCA Menard Series at high noon. Tickets start at $40. Kids 12 and under are free. It's NASCAR playoffs time in Milwaukee. Visit MilwaukeeMileRacing.com to get your tickets today.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
This is Two Pros and a Cup of Joe.
Yeah, baby. Anybody up for a kicker theft? Chuck Martin, the head coach of Miami of Ohio, he was asked about it and just wanted to make it clear what actually happened.
We didn't lose him. He's at Alabama. We know exactly.
I understand.
We know exactly where he's at.
Exactly where he is.
Oh, man.
Two Pros, LeVar Arrington, Brady Quinn, and a Cup of Joe, Jonas Knox.
Weekday mornings 5 to 8 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
And now the LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
Believe it or not, we're already starting to wind down the dirt season here across the state of Wisconsin. Champions are being crowned. We'll start Tuesday night in Beaver Dam, which, by the way, this week announced that they will no longer have a weekly program in 2025. Kind of surprising there. You're going to have a special event only schedule next year. So I believe they have a couple Tuesday nights left yet. I know they're running this coming Tuesday as well. So this past Tuesday, the modified winner in the IMCAs was Jeff Yankee, and the IMCA stock cars went to Jeremy Christians. Eagle River Tuesday night, the stock cars, Hot Rod Snellenberger continued his dominance up there. And in the limited lates was Zach Frisky. Ramsonville, New York, the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds, Matt Williamson was your winner there on Tuesday night. Wednesday, Lancaster, Wisconsin, the Grant County Fairgrounds. They run one race a year there. And it was the fair race, but that rained out the week before, so they just made it up this past week. In the limited lates, Ethan Pickard was your winner, and the modifieds was Ryan DeShaw. Chico, California, Wednesday night, the Silver Dollar Speedway for night number 1 of the Gold Cup Race of Champions. 360 sprint cars were the headliners. Justin Sanders was your winner. Sarver, Pennsylvania, Wednesday night at the Lernerville Speedway, Castro Flow Racing Night in America. $20,000 to win in the super late models. Bobby Pierce continued padding his bank account day after day after day, like he normally does, with another $20,000 win. Thursday night, Kokomo, Indiana, the USAC Amsoil National Sprint Car Series Sprint Car Smackdown, night number 1. Justin Grant was your winner. Chico, California, it was night number 1 for the 410 sprint cars for the Gold Cup Race of Champions. Corey Day was your winner there. Friday night at Plymouth, the Dirt Kings Late Model Series was your headliner. Nick Anvelink grabbed the win. MSA 360 sprint cars, Scotty Thiel made a guest appearance in one of Randy Sippel's rent-a-ride cars, grabbed the victory. Grand National feature winner was Scott Kafka. Chilton, Gravity Park Speedway, and the modified Steve Miller was your winner. Grand Nationals was Jake Richards. Stock cars was Caden Lemieux. Seymour, the Outagamie County Speedway, and the modifieds Cole Sarneski had the win. Stock cars was Kyle Frederick. Fountain City, Wisconsin, the Mississippi Thunder Speedway Friday night. USRA modifieds Chris Holm was your winner, and the limited lates went to Matt Larson. Up at Superior, the Gondit Law Speedway, the Wissota Late Models, Pat Dorr was your winner. The modifieds went to Daryl Nelson. Jim Falls, the Eagle Valley Speedway, and modifieds Jake Hartung, and the limited late models went to Ryan Howe. Night number 2 in Kokomo, Indiana for the Sprint Car Smackdown for the USAC Amsoil National Sprint Cars. Kevin Thomas Jr. was your winner. And Friday night, Chico, California, Silver Dollar Speedway for the high limit sprint cars. Tanner Thorson was your winner. Grand Forks, North Dakota, River City Speedway for the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. Carson Macedo Macedo grabbed the win. Chillicothe, Ohio, the Atomic Speedway for the World of Outlaw Case Construction late models, $10,000 to win. Bobby Pierce yet again, another 10 grand. So that's 30 for the week. That's a pretty good week, I would say. Port Royal, Pennsylvania, the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series Rumble by the River, night number 1. Garrett Alberson finally grabbed his first Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series win. We've been talking about that for years. And I didn't get to see that race. It's unfortunate, but I
think he got Donnie Moran or Devin Moran on the last lap.
Oh wow, that's got to be an exciting one for him because he's been one of the good ones. Last night, Saturday night at Francis Crick, the 141 Speedway in the modifieds, Mike Weddlestadt was your winner, and the champion of the modifieds went to Cole Sarneski. Stock cars went to Dean Maurer in the Grand Nationals. The feature winner and your 2024 champion, good friend of mine, Josh Pierce. He's been working on that one for a couple years there, and it got really tight at the end. And I talked to him this week, and he was sweating it out, but he went out and won the feature and won the championship. That's how you get it done. Yes, Wilmot last night for the Badger Midgets. Parker Jones was your winner. The IRA Wingless Sprints went to Zach Riddart. Shawano in the late models, Justin Ritchie was your winner. The IMCA Modifieds went to Marcus Yari, and the stock cars was Nate Mashansky. Up at New Richmond, Wisconsin, Cedar Lake Speedway in the late models, AJ Diemel was your winner. The limited lates, Matt Larson. The modifieds, Caden Blauser. Rice Lake in the Wissota modifieds, Kevin Buzzy Adams was your winner. Kokomo, Indiana, the final night of the Sprint Car Smackdown, $30,000 the win for the non-wingers, and Justin Grant grabbed the win. West Fargo, North Dakota, the World of Outlaw NOS Engineering Sprint Car Series, Carson Macedo made it 2 for 2 on the weekend. Chillicothe, Ohio, for the World of Outlaw Case Construction late models, $12,000 to win. Bobby Pierce didn't win. My gosh, that's not a misprint. $12,000 to win went to Ryan Gustin, who Bobby Pierce finished second, but Gustin finally beat him, so that was pretty impressive. Port Royal, Pennsylvania, for the Lucas Oil 8 Model Dirt Series, $50,000 to win for the Rumble by the River, and Jonathan Davenport, that's his first win in a little while, so he padded his bank account. And the big money race of the weekend was in Chico, California, the Silver Dollar Raceway, the Gold Cup Race of Champions, $100,070 to win. It was the 70th Gold Cup, and Corey Day grabbed the win in the High Limit Series there. That's a big money win for him.
Yeah, and Corey Day is the kind of guy that's coming. Got to keep your eye on because he seems to be winning a lot in a lot of different cars.
Absolutely. Yes, that is a sprint car driver you will see. That is everything for the week.
And in paved track racing, starting Thursday night at State Park Speedway. They say it's the final season championship. The word I heard is that Ron Wimmer, who's been the promoter for the last several years, is out, but the owners of the actual land and track wanted to continue. They're looking for somebody to take it over. They haven't found anybody yet. Therefore, this may have been the last ever race held up at State Park Speedway in Wausau. In the super late models, Brock Heinrich won the race and the championship up there. Congratulations. That's pretty cool stuff for Mr. Heinrich. At Wisconsin International Raceway in Kaukauna, it was the Blue Race and the Summers Memorial. In the super late models, Maxwell Schultz won it, and the red, white, and blue championship, interesting because it was the blue race, goes to the Chase Motorsports team, the number 47 car, which had two different drivers this year, Riley Stengham and Ty Majeski. So I'm not sure how that works, but they are all the champions of the red, white, and blue series. In the late models, it was Brazen Bennett winning the race, and Alex Stumpf won the championship at Kaukauna. Friday night at Madison, it was the Howie Leto Classic. Dan, you were there for that one, running the cameras. Pretty cool race. Dalton Zier kind of muscled his way into that win, didn't he?
Yeah, a little bit. Casey Johnson was leading. They kind of got in some lap traffic, which kind of let Zier catch Johnson. They were side by side for a couple laps, made a little bit of contact in turn 4. Casey went up the track, fell back to third. Gabe Summers got second, and Zier was gone. Once he got the lead, Summers couldn't catch him down. The last 60 laps, I think, ran caution free in that race. Ty Majeski was there. He started in the back because he had to do an autograph session in Pewaukee at the Menards, so he missed qualifying. Had to go back and start tailing the field. Got up to 8th. But a pretty decent race. I thought it was a pretty good race.
Brakes, by the way, in case you didn't know that, Dan. That's what the problem was. He lost his brakes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yep, he told me that yesterday. So a good run, though, for sure. Brandon Reichenberger won in the Midwest Truck Series at Madison on Friday. Then last night, it was the Walbeck Classic at Dells Raceway Park. They had twin features for the CWRA late models. Corey Jankowski, who hasn't won at the Dells in a while, and Malon Borntrigger won those two. The overall went to Borntrigger. In the late models, it was Mike Litchfield overcoming his issue he had the week before when he crashed. And congratulations to all of them. At Grundy, they ran the Big 8 style late models, whatever the hell that is. Jacob Guiley was your winner. At Jefferson, it was Evan Hassler. His second race ever at Jefferson, led every lap. And then tonight at Slinger Speedway, we've got the Alan Kowicki Memorial Race. Now, keep this in mind. The super late models haven't raced all that much tonight and next week, 2 weeks in a row of super late models, and that will determine the 2024 track championship. Which, Dan, I think Dennis Prunty is leading by just a couple of points, if I remember right. It is not only Alan Kowicki Memorial Night, but it's alumni night, and many of the racers that raced at Slinger over the years will be there. And it's Wall of Fame night. Dan and I are both lucky enough to have been included on that Wall of Fame. Tonight, we add a few more names that are all extremely deserving, including Shane the Shark Becker, Jeff Holtz, Kevin Barker, Dick Melius, Dale Norenberg, who you may not know, but I can tell you right now, he's been sitting right next to me for the last 30-plus years. He's been the chief scorer. He's retiring this year. I can't believe he's been there that long. A guy looks like he must have started when he was a young teenager or something. And the late Bob Fish will all be inducted into the Wall of Fame tonight at Slinger Speedway. So, and by the way, if you didn't catch it, Dean Strom, my partner at Slinger Speedway, is the announcer at Daytona. Dean worked the race last night. He told me he got 2 hours of sleep last night and had to be to the airport in Jacksonville for a 7 o'clock flight back to Milwaukee. He changed planes in Chicago, and he landed at the Milwaukee airport a couple of minutes ago, and he'll be heading.
He is a trooper. Holy cow.
He is. He's a hard-working guy. We'll be right back.
Get ready for the return of IndyCar to the Milwaukee Mile.
The NTT IndyCar Series returns to Milwaukee August 30th through September 1st for the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250th weekend.
Don't miss the first IndyCar event at the historic 1 Mile Oval since 2015, featuring an NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader with races on both Saturday and Sunday. Check out the free fan fun zone with live music, great food, and family fun all weekend long.
Get your tickets now at WIStatefair.com and join us for a Labor Day weekend celebration at the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s.
The Sheboygan County Fair is this week in Plymouth, and again, sprint car racing is on the schedule. Saturday night, the bumper-to-bumper IRA sprints, along with the Akrite Auto Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA sprints. See these daredevils challenge the high bank 3rd Mile Oval with wheel-to-wheel and wing-to-wing nonstop action. Enjoy the fair and be in the grandstand Saturday night. On-track action at 5 o'clock. We'll see you there.
The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800. Or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
This is The Herd.
Wow, 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 wow.
With Colin Cowherd.
And what a difference a year makes. I mean, the first year for Aaron in the NFL in New York was a parade celebrating Aaron's arrival. This thing could go off the rails quickly. Stop falling in love with his last great year. The last time Aaron was truly great was 3 years ago.
This is The Herd.
Weekdays 3 to 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeart Radio app.
That Herd guy sure hates Aaron Rodgers, doesn't he? Hey, a couple other notes that we didn't mention. You know the name Ricky Brooks. He gets famous when he disqualifies guys. He's an official. He's done yeoman's work over the years. Sometimes it's almost frustrating how meticulous this guy does inspections. Well, he had a heart attack at Auburndale Speedway the other day. Was attended to by a couple of the people at the racetrack, and had a stent put in. He's going to be okay, but that's pretty scary stuff. So our best to Ricky Brooks. And speaking of coming and going, how about our own Matt Losey, who celebrating his birthday today? Happy birthday, Matt! Going out to the Milwaukee Mile to become hungover, apparently, is what we're hearing.
He'll be in the infield. Stop by and have one.
Yeah, I think he's buying drinks.
Yeah, he'll buy you one if you come and see him in the infield, which he'll also thank me for, I'm sure. Hey, Brian and Dan, this race at the Milwaukee Mile, the schedule has not been released for next year in the Truck Series, correct?
That's correct. So NASCAR doesn't have their schedule out for next year yet, as we all know, and IndyCar's schedule came out quite a while ago already, and IndyCar got off of the Labor Day weekend and moved their event to this weekend starting next year, so the weekend before Labor Day. NASCAR doesn't have their schedule out yet. The assumption is that some of the things will stay the same with Daytona being that weekend, but we don't know that. So, in order for this race to happen next year, they're going to have a date where the Truck Series and the ARCA Series is not companioned with the Cup Series. So, the options are very limited. One of the thoughts is when the Cup Series goes to Mexico, which we assume is going to happen sometime in June next year, that would be an off weekend when possibly you could do it. The Trucks and Xfinity Series is together on Easter at Rockingham next year. That has been confirmed. So there's not a whole lot of options available. So, I mean, if you're on the fence about coming out here, come on out here. Let's fill this place up. I know everybody's going to say, yeah, you told us to do that at Road America, and it didn't make a difference. Yeah. Right. That was politics involved with that one. This year, if we fill this place up and have a really good crowd here and support this event, I don't see why NASCAR wouldn't want to bring this back. The Truck Series does not have many standalone events. This and IRP, it's kind of a standalone, but it really isn't because the Cup Series is in town. Otherwise, that's it for them. So Ty Majeski made a plea in his press conference yesterday, too. The people up here in Wisconsin are passionate about racing. Let's show them we mean it.
And it's the first round of the playoffs on top of it, It's pretty cool stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
And Ty's got a good truck starting from the pole. This could be a good day. You just never know. By the way, there's been a lot of conjecture, people complaining about the late starts that NASCAR has had recently, because as they get going, if there's any weather delays whatsoever, such as Michigan last week, they can't, there's no lights. So with a late start, and it's the obvious, simple answer was, why do you start so late? There's a lot to it, Brian, right?
Yeah, and most of it has to do with the TV networks. That's 100% what it is. And, they want to have their West Coast fans be able to watch it in a timely manner. They don't want to race on at 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, which on the East Coast would be a 1 o'clock start time. So, I get the complaints, but I also see it from a fan standpoint. I mean, you go to Michigan. I've been there. I went there 10 straight years. I've been there in the rain, and there's nothing worse than sitting around when it's not raining, knowing that the race is going to start at 2:30, and then it does rain, which is exactly what happened last week. So there's got to be a way, hopefully with the new contract here, where the tracks that don't have lights, and there's not many of them anymore. You're talking Michigan, Indianapolis, Pocono, Dover. That might be all of them, right? I mean, and of course the road courses, but the road courses we can race with some rain. So that they do something to move those start times up to give them wiggle room, so you can ensure that the fans who spend the money to travel all the way over there can see a race. Because there's nothing worse than going there, spending the money, as we did this year at Daytona, and not seeing a race.
Right, and then I think to me, you got to think of your fans. I mean, I realize your TV deal makes you a lot of money, and it's a big deal, but the fans are still important. Those are the people that are actually putting the effort to get to the track. They're making travel plans. They're taking time off of work. The guys at home are watching on their couch. They can watch whenever. If they want to get up early and watch, they can watch. I know the rating, what it says, and money-wise, but you can't forget your fans.
Yeah, and we're going to be streaming a lot of races next year as well. So, I mean, that should also make a difference.
All right, we're all in the same boat here. We're all going to pick Ty Majeski to win in Milwaukee today.
I don't want to jinx him, so I'm going to pick Christian Eckes.
Eckes, huh? Okay. Which gray is in the 17, Dan?
Tanner. No, 17 is Taylor. Tanner's in the 50.
I'm going to take, because Jake Trado works on that team, so I'm taking Taylor Gray. You taking Eckes? Brian, who are you taking?
I'm going to go with Ty Majeski. I'm not going against the hometown guy. My gosh.
I'm not going against him, but every time I pick him for something, he crashes or something happens. So
Well, if I took anybody else for PJ, she would have me by the short hair.
PJ's going to take Corey Haim.
Real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. LTN is produced and directed by Dan Margetta, and our engineer is Matt Losi. For all of us involved with the program, thanks for tuning in. See you at Slinger tonight and at Milwaukee today. Bye.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.